DJ Lil Diddy in the house. I've been making lots of little ditties this week.
Oh, yeah, you have.
Yeah, I have.
She has, guys. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been pretty great. I like having fun playing around in GarageBand. It's a good time. So if anyone has a few hours to kill, I recommend that shit. It's delicious.
She's also very good at it.
She's also my sister. She's required to say nice things about me.
Actually, I would argue that it's the contrary.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I don't have to at all. But I do like them. I was jamming out to her little songs while I was cleaning my kitchen.
Nice.
So, yes.
I've been working on a couple other ones. The last one I sent you, I gotta fix, but yeah. So we got some jams in the works for you guys.
Yeah.
For all to enjoy.
Yes. So welcome back to the pod. I'm Sarah, and here with me is my sister Emily, and we are the Wonderless Podcast, where we talk about all the weird, unexpected, unknown deep dives you could possibly ask for. That's what we're here for, really.
It is what we're here for. We are your mystic sisters that are here to give you brain twister. Whoa.
Twist and shout.
Oh, boy.
Oh, gosh.
So what's up?
So, I have a couple of really crazy things to tell you.
I would love to hear about them.
One, while I was doing my notes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there quietly. It's getting darker. Actually, no, it wasn't. It's just been getting darker recently. But Yahtzee's sitting there with me chilling. He's having cute little kitty paw, moving paw dreams, you know.
Aw.
I'm in the living room. My keys are on the hook in the laundry room. My car's outside. And I had the garage door open because I had some plants in there that needed some sun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm typing away, Yahtzee's snoring, and the garage door closed. By itself, everybody. By itself.
I don't like that. I'm not a fan of things doing things by themselves.
I was also not a fan.
Yeah.
And neither was Yahtzee. He's not a very good guard cat. He, looked at me like, what the fuck was that shit? You're here. Who is that?
Oh, my God.
So, that was, the weird/creepy thing that happened to me today.
Yeah, that'll make you jump.
Tell me about it.
I watched a weird/creepy video today.
Ooh.
It was on Reddit. Because I'm a grown-up and I know how to spend my time well.
Yes.
And
Same.
It was a video from a Ring doorbell, and the audio is this screeching weird noise, and then all of a sudden there's this scream, and watching it, and it looks like something is moving in the tree, but then as the video goes on you realize oh, that's the road. That's actually a very large thing, because I'm watching this, and it's posted in, a scary subreddit, so I'm waiting for something to jump out at me, or, a big spider to crawl across the camera, or something silly like that, and then, there was this blood-curdling scream in the middle of it, and I was like, ooh, I don't like that sound.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but I read the comments, and they were like, that was the sound of two foxes having sex, so... That was the moment that you just witnessed.
I love it.
Yeah, but it was a little bit of reassurance, because now I know if I hear a random blood-curdling scream out here, it's probably a fox, not a screaming banshee.
That's very true. Maybe.
I don't know. My brain will tell me that it's a screaming banshee before it's a fox.
And you'll be like, no, it's just foxes having fun, doing foxy things.
Doing foxy things. Ow, ow.
So I have one more thing to tell you before we get down to it, okay? Because I really think that you're going to enjoy this. And also, I promised somebody that I would mention it on the podcast.
Uh-oh.
So, I don't know. I don't usually, talk about this kind of stuff on air, but, dating in your 30s is just oodles of fun, let me tell you guys and gals. Wrong. It's not fun. But I'm trying not to give up and turn into a cave troll. So, you know, I was texting a man folk. Seemed pretty cool. And, you know, so, like, this is something. Like, with women, I feel like they're so easy to compliment. Like, hey, you're so beautiful. Wow, you have really nice eyes.
Yeah, no, that is true.
I love your curves. I love your cheeks. I love your freckles. I love your eyes. I love your hair.
I love your
face.
brain. I love your heart.
brain. Well, no, I'm talking about the other stuff is important too. But
I know. I'm
my
just giving you
my
shit.
specific issue was like I was talking to this guy and I was like, how do I tell him in a not fucking lame way that he's cute? Because I feel like guys don't like being called cute, or they're like weird about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, do guys like being called cute? Because I do agree. Like, I feel like it's like a weird stigma where they're like, ew. But I don't.
Ew.
You know how weird it feels to like go up to someone and be like, "You're so handsome."
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
feel
know
like
exactly,
someone's
yes.
78-year-old Aunt Gertrude going, "Oh,
Like,
you're
you're
so
such-
handsome."
You're such a strapping young fella. You
Oh,
know,
look at those arms. Look at those arms. He could push a wheelbarrow with those arms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
Okay,
don't know.
so in my curiosity, I decided to Google how to compliment men.
I love that. Oh my god. What did Google tell you?
Oh my goodness. Get ready because these were amazing.
This is upsetting. I'm upset already.
I don't need the pillows anymore. Your broad chest will do.
Ew. Stop. Stop.
You look divine.
Divine?
Mm-hmm.
Divine? That's what men want to be called? Divine?
I don't know.
I
This
want
is
to
what
look
this-
I want to be called that. I'll
This
take
is
that.
according to the internet. There is no man like you, darling. You are the best of your kind.
Why do I feel like someone told that to Tim Allen on like
Ew.
a sitcom?
Ew. This, there was some about complimenting his personality, okay? You truly have a commanding presence. I'm sorry, but if a guy has a commanding presence, that usually means that I probably want to deck him. Just my track record.
Yeah, you know, it's hard. It's hard out there in heteronormative society. It's tough.
You have an aura that is so loving, commanding, and warm. It is quite irresistible.
Okay, but I just can't imagine a positive reaction from these. Unless it's like, again, Gertrude and her 80-year-old husband, Tony. I don't know why. Trudy and Tony. Here we go.
Hey, bringing Trudy back. Our gal Trudy. Yep. Complimenting a guy on his dress. My honeycomb, you are particularly smart today.
My face is upset. I am upset. This
Also,
is
this one.
my honeycomb.
Yes, my honeycomb.
That's a cute nickname, though. Oh, my honeycomb.
Oh, my honeycomb. You're just the sweetest little honeycomb I ever
Oh
did
my
know.
god. You know what's going to happen now? Mom is going to start calling Dad her honeycomb and
Yes.
vice versa. So
Please do.
No, stop.
Mom and Dad, listen and hear this now.
Listen.
Okay, there's this other one also says. Oh, wait, no, I already said that one. Sorry. Okay, and then the last one that I just... Baby, you are hot! 3 exclamation points.
So do you have to say the exclamation points?
I don't know. Like, exclaim.
Or is it
How-
like an Animal Crossing like reaction? You have to like keep reacting.
I like how we both did the silent expression where nobody else can see us.
No, you can't. You can hear my hands though.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last one that I just tickled me. I feel like says, "You look so great in your appearance."
Ew. Who says that? That's like Sunny from iRobot complimenting Will Smith.
AdaJennifer.com says that, apparently.
Y'all.
So, hey guys, if you don't know how to compliment a man, just flirt with women instead.
You know, that's very true, and I support that. Also, if you say anything confidently enough, it doesn't matter what you're saying. Like, if you have the confidence to overshadow the truth of the words.
Or can fake the confidence.
Either or, you know? We all gotta go get our imaginary friend acting classes on now.
Hells yeah.
I had someone tell me, this is upsetting, and I just want to let everybody know that this is not true. But it was said to me with such confidence that I questioned my knowledge of animals and nature and science and the way things worked. I had someone tell me.
Who said this to you?
I can't reveal their identity.
Okay. That's what I thought.
I was told by this person that kangaroos and deer are basically the same. And my response to that was, what? What now? And they said, yeah, haven't you ever heard of Pangea? And I was like, whoa.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
Whoa, yes I have. Gosh, whoa, okay, Pangea, we're really going all the way back, okay? And they were like, yeah, so, like, the way everything was, like, laid out, and, like, kangaroos and deer, like, come from, like, the same family, and, like, they just have evolved differently. And I was like...
Did he just assume this because their faces look semi-similar? Because one is a marsupial and the other is not.
I can't even. Because let me tell you, the confidence that was displayed to me had me questioning so many things. And I was like, how did I not know that kangaroos and deer were the fucking same? Because they're not. They're not.
No.
They're not. No. And then it was really actually very funny because this person was like... So I like mentioned it as like a throwaway comment. I was like, "Oh yeah, well kangaroos and deer are the same, so fuck me, right?" And they just go, "Oh yeah, I was really wrong about that. I looked it up and I have no idea what I was thinking." And what's funny is I hadn't actually taken the time to look it up. I did write it down. This is how bad it got under my skin. I wrote it down to, like, look it up for the fucking podcast, you guys. Like, that's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. I didn't take the time to look it up yet, but they were like, yeah, I looked it up because I said it. And I was like, where did I hear that from? Nowhere. You heard it from nowhere. Like a dream. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god.
So
that
yeah,
is hilarious.
If you say, babe, you're hot, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Mm-hmm.
Throw a little bit of Alexis in there. And
yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're good to go. You know what I mean? People will just be like, yeah, that's normal. That's a normal thing to say.
Yeah. Would you like to hear a story?
I would love to. Tell me a story.
Well, I wanted to take on the whole historical aspect, you know, of the history topic.
Okay.
But history can be rather depressing.
Yes, it can.
So, I wanted to find some fun history.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some fun unknown history, or unknown to me, right?
Right.
So... Everybody loves Tom Clancy. And there's this new movie coming out with Tom Clancy, and Michael B. Jordan is in it. I'm very excited, but it looks very depressing. But, got me thinking about spies. Okay? And now, when you just Google World War II spies...
Oh, shit. I might know what you're talking about.
We will find out.
We will.
When we Google World War II spies, it's mostly... a certain, you know, image that comes to mind. Even when we think about spies in general, because let's think about
like
spies.
The Get Smart, Steve Carell, Phone in the Shoe, Inspector Gadget spy?
Oh, man, of course. Obviously, that was
Okay.
my first go-to.
Okay.
Also, I would just like to, give an honorable mention to, figures like James Bond. Or, which, by the way, in my research, I discovered that the guy who invented James Bond was actually a spy during World War II.
So, I actually got a bit of information that the guy who invented James Bond, wasn't that Ian Fleming?
Yeah.
So, okay, so now I've got to double check. But do you know who Christopher Lee is?
The actor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Christopher Lee, who was Saruman in, right? Sauron. No, Saruman.
No, Saruman.
I was right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
In Lord of the Rings. He is the step cousin of Ian Fleming, who is the creator of James Bond. James Bond. I would love to see a movie that takes on toxic masculinity, and I'd love it to be called James Blonde. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Yes, it's like Legally Blonde, James Blonde. Let's do it. Yeah, so he was a Green Beret or some shit. Like, he was like, yeah, there was one movie that he was in where they're like doing a scene and someone is getting stabbed in the back. And he like walks across the set and he's like, that's not what a man sounds like when he dies from being stabbed in the back.
Oh
And
my
just, like, walks
God.
away. Yeah, he's a real scary son of a bitch.
Well, he's actually dead now. I know. It was very recent. Yes, it was very sad.
Aw.
I know.
Well, scary in the best way.
Oh,
I don't know.
course.
I don't know. He's
Of
definitely
course.
killed people. I don't know what he does, what he did, but
Yeah,
yeah. So he was apparently part of the inspiration for Ian Fleming was because he was
That
just
makes
like
sense.
yeah.
I could see
But
that, especially with
anyways.
his sultry voice.
Oh my God, yeah, he has such a great voice.
Oh, God, so good. Also, well, anyways, so we're talking about spies, right?
Right.
Got James Bond. We got the chick from Atomic Blonde that I have to mention because I just love Charlize Theron. Matt Damon in the Bourne Identity series. You
Yeah.
know, if you're really feeling frisky, you could think of Melissa McCarthy from that one movie where she was a fake spy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with like Jude Law, right?
Yeah. No, that one. What was that one called? That one's a good one. It's like the female Get Smart.
I know.
I hate to say it, but
I
it
wanted
is.
to say I Spy. Oh, that's exactly what it is, but it's not I Spy. I don't even know what I Spy is. It's something.
It's good though. Anyways, continue. So with spies, yeah.
Spies, right?
Yeah.
However, when you think of a spy, you may not think of, somebody of average height with a slight dancer's frame. Very charming, extremely talented, has sick moves, if you will.
Ah.
And she's very beautiful and scantily clad. Well, that's how she started off her career, was scantily clad. Fun fact, in a faux banana G-string skirt. Uh-huh. And
I'm confused at the words.
faux banana G-string skirt? Wow, that's really hard to say.
G-string skirt. Is it like a skort situation?
I guess it's technically like a skort. Is it a skort, though, if it's only like a string? But anyways, so she's this beautiful, slight, sick moves, extremely talented, scantily clad dancer with a faux banana skirt.
Uh-huh.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I have like an inkling, but I can't disclose.
So today I will be telling the story of Josephine Baker
Yes.
and her work as a spy for the French resistance in World War II.
Yes.
Yes. I really had a lot of fun with the story.
Nice.
It was really hard for me to stop researching stuff because I just kept finding more. And I maybe bought 2 books because I have problems.
I smile and shake my head because I also have those problems.
Yes, exactly. So, for those of you who don't know, Josephine Baker was born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1906. She grew up in poverty, and it's debated on who her father actually is, although on her birth certificate it's listed that he's a vaudeville entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
She did not necessarily get along with her mom super well. She wanted to be an entertainer. Her mom was not a super fan of that. At the age of 15, she headed to New York City during the Harlem Renaissance, and she performed at the Plantation Club as a dancer. She also had some background work on Broadway in Shuffle Along and Adelaide Hall. She was the last in the chorus line, which apparently back then, this was what, the 1920s? So back then, the last of the chorus line was left for comedic relief, which I don't know if you know that.
Mm.
I figured you might, but I'm not sure. So, like, they would have everybody in the line. Not. They would have everybody in the line, the chorus line, do this dance, and then the last person was supposed to pretend like they forgot, as to be like a cutesy little funny thing. Right?
Yeah.
Later on, after she had her wild success in life, some people would ask, "Oh, did you get your big break, your first big break on Broadway?" And she's quoted as saying, "No, I didn't get my first break on Broadway. I was only in the chorus in Shuffle Along and Chocolate Dandies. I became famous in France in the 20s. I couldn't stand America, and I was one of the first colored Americans to move to Paris." And she said this in a 1974 interview with The Guardian. So that quote kind of sets us up. She wasn't a super fan of America. Obviously, it was rife with racism and discrimination at this time. And when she had the chance to go abroad, she took it. She jumped at it. So in 1925, she was 19 years old. She moved to Paris, and she was part of a performance called Le Revue Negre. I'm really bad at French. I wish I should have, texted you those things and had you say it. But in this, what's it called? Show. There we go. Wow. Yikes. Guys, I'm really tired. I've had a really rough week. Excuse me.
Boy.
So in this show, she rocketed to stardom. She was famous for her dancing, and she was made especially famous by her danse sauvage, which was a dance with a skirt made of a string of artificial bananas with a G-string to keep it. Yeah. Anyways, her fame coincided with, France wasn't segregated like America was at the time, and while, it was still harder for people of color in general, it was way easier than in the U.S., and it sort of coincided with this interest in non-Western forms of art at the time. Ernest Hemingway called her one of the most sensational women anyone ever saw. She was also referred to as the Queen of Paris. She really rocketed to fame with her unique dance style, and especially in the 20s, she did this, really cutesy, Charleston. She was just adorable. She was just the cutest thing. However, she was still American, so she, really wanted to, go back to the States and do some work there, even though she was doing really well in France and Europe. In 1936, she got an opportunity to star in Ziegfeld Follies on Broadway. But it generated less than an impressive box office numbers, and later she was replaced by Gypsy Rose Lee, a white woman.
Right.
She was faced with all kinds of racist and horrible vitriol. And aside from that, which I don't really want to repeat, they also said stuff like her voice wasn't good enough and dwarf-like, and she just faced all kinds of ridiculousness from the U.S. So she said, fuck it, and went back to Europe. In 1937, when she returned to France, she married a guy named Jean Léon, and he was French. He was a French industrialist, and that's how she got her French citizenship. All right? So we're in 1937. So she is 31. I said she was born in 1906. Yeah. So now we get on to the spy shit. Okay. As most of us know, in 1939, France declared war on Germany because they invaded Poland, right? On June 14th, 1940, however, Paris fell to the Nazis. There was very little resistance, no blood was shed, and to be honest, a lot of the French were very upset there was so little pushback on this invasion, right? So France set up a puppet state with a capital in Vichy, which is in the southern France, okay? Josephine, this time, was married to Jean Léon. When she married him, she converted to Judaism because he was Jewish. So at this point in time, while the Nazis are gaining power with all of their terrible shit, she is now not white, and she's Jewish. And they just invaded France. So, like, obviously, the Nazis probably aren't going to be her biggest fan, right? And in return, she was not their biggest fan either. You know,
I mean,
she left America because she despised how racist they were. So, like, this was not something that she was super thrilled about, right? So, after the war has started, and, you know, there's all this stuff going on her own initiative, Josephine Baker volunteered for the Red Cross. She volunteered as a nurse, and she used her private plane that she piloted to deliver supplies for the war effort. What? She was a pilot.
That's awesome.
I know. She's fucking badass. Okay? So, as this is all happening, Paris falls to the Nazis. There's this dude named Jacques Abte. He was the 33-year-old head of the French counterintelligence at the time, right? So, he was looking for people to join his counterintelligence squad, right? He wanted people who had lifestyles that would allow them to move freely and gather information on enemy forces or the Axis powers. But the caveat was that it would also be really helpful if they could work without pay.
LOL,
right?
Of course.
Yes. So, Josephine...
You know what would really help me out?
As if you could just do this for free.
If this was, like, on a volunteer basis.
And, you know, just do it from the goodness of your heart, please. Like, that would just be fantastic.
Yeah, who needs food or, like, shelter or water or anything like that?
Or anything, really. I mean, like, who needs that stuff?
I don't know why other people do it. It astounds me, personally.
Girl, same. I can just sit out in my backyard and absorb the energy from the sun.
Oh, boy.
Yes. So Jacques over here is looking for these people who had lifestyles that would allow them to move freely. They'd be willing and able to gather information, useful information, and be able to work for free. So these are all, like, pretty, like, we're narrowing down the field, right? And somebody mentions Josephine. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. You know, what if she turns double agent? And...
For who? For the Germans?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it? Jean? Okay,
Jacques.
Jean. Jacques. Oh, apparently those are the same name if you ask a British person, so.
Oh, okay.
You know, like the whole John and Jack thing? It's
Oh.
like, Jack is a nickname for John. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, stop. Anyways.
Is Jack a nickname for anything?
I know that was a genuine question, but exactly. That's exactly my point.
Got really fired up about that. So, yeah, he turned her down. He's like, no, I don't think that she has what it takes. And she's probably not, you know, brave enough or cool enough to be able to do that, right?
Wow, okay.
However, you know, obviously, Germany invaded France. Things are getting pretty dire, you know. So he's like, fuck, I guess I'll ask her.
Yeah.
So he goes to her chateau because she is a famous, well-to-do singer, dancer, entertainer in France. And he, you know, expects this well-put-together woman, you know, very chic in the height of fashion. And instead, the image that he comes upon is a woman crouched in the bushes in old clothes with a gardening hat. And she stands up, and she has a rusty old can in which she's collecting snails so that she can feed them to the ducks. just my favorite.
Ducks eat snails?
I guess, but it's just, I'm so glad you had that reaction, because I had the same reaction. I'm like, why snails? Give them lettuce.
It's like I thought they ate like little plants or something.
Yeah.
I know they're not supposed to eat bread.
Yes. That's why I said give them lettuce. Let them eat lettuce. Anyways. So he finds this very well-to-do woman in her garden collecting snails. Mm-hmm. And he asks her about her connections and if she's willing to do it, and kind of tells her what it would take, and, you know, goes over all the stuff. And she goes, look, this is what she's quoted as saying. France made me what I am. I will be forever grateful. The people of Paris have given me everything. They have given me their hearts, and I have given them mine. I am ready, Captain, to give them my life. You can use me as you wish. Ah.
Oh my gosh.
She's a literal angel. I'm not lying. While she loved France, and she made it clear that she would do anything for France, she also wanted to make a stand against what she recognized as the racist war of the Nazis. And so another quote that she told Ebony magazine years later was, "Of course I wanted to do all I could to aid France, my adopted country. An overriding consideration, the thing that drove me as strongly as did patriotism, was my violent hatred of discrimination in any form." Bam. She's just so cool. She's like the coolest. So now we're into Act 3. Josephine the Spy. So
for some reason, the song Tequila just keeps playing in my head as I'm picturing her little, like, bananas, like, and she's just like, ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da. You know, but then she, like, she's, like, a spy, and she, like, turns a corner with a gun and it's, like, ba-da-da-da.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Also, that would be, like, I feel like that would be a really cool Halloween costume.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to be okay with being, like, you know, scantily clad.
Well, I actually did look it up. It's not like a full string. It's like a little, it's like little cutie, little bananas. They're like all stuck out, but her butt's covered.
Yeah, that's why I said it was a banana
skirt.
I
don't care about having a butt out. You know, it is what it is.
Sun's out, buns out. What?
Even if the sun's not out.
Buns out. All the time.
Out. Not all the time, but like at appropriate times.
So Josephine the Spy. She joined forces with Abte, or I don't like that last name. I keep wanting to say Atabey, which is a Puerto Rican goddess.
Oh.
So we're going to just call him Jacques. She joined forces with Jacques and began working...
Saying it so aggressively.
Yes.
Jacques.
She began working at a refuge center welcoming people who were fleeing the Germans. She was supposed to welcome the refugees, but also identify German spies. According to one of my books, she also was a little too good at it, and for a while was just pretty much sending them anybody who was blonde.
What do you mean?
She was just picking out all the blonde men and sending them to get interviewed by Jacques for being a spy.
LOL.
Which makes me laugh. Girl, I would do the same thing.
Wait, blonde? James Blonde?
That was amazingly perfect. I had no idea where you were going to go with that. So she did that, but she also accepted invitations to many diplomatic functions, including functions at the Japanese and Italian embassies. Okay? Mm-hmm. Which, you know, her connections and popularity gave her the perfect cover to collect all this information about, like, German troop movements and airfield activities and stuff. But obviously this was also, like, exceedingly dangerous.
Yeah.
You know? But she was so famous and well-liked and so charismatic that she knew she could get away with it. So she would write information on her arms and in the palm of her hands. Like, how fucking ballsy, by the way.
I was gonna say, like, girl, what are you wearing? Yeah, I hope you got gloves. Like,
right?
Although it might be a little suspicious to just be like, hand up, pulling off your glove. pulling out a pen and
Let's
then
write this down real quick. Yeah.
I'm going to take note of this and then slipping the glove back on.
Maybe
That's a
what
fucking power move right there.
right? Maybe she went to the bathroom for that. I don't know.
Went to go freshen up.
Yeah.
God, what a good excuse, ladies. Like, I'm sorry. All of us, ladies, we have had that excuse for so long of just like a time where we need to go to the bathroom, and it's just so wonderful, and I do love
So
it.
helpful in all situations, whether or not you're a
right.
spy or whether or not you just want to get away from the gross, sweaty dude across the table from you. Like,
I mean, just in general, because like society expects us to be like fresh for some reason, which like we are fresh to death all the time. It does not fucking matter.
So
but if
fresh,
you want
so
us to
cool.
go to the bathroom, if you want us to go to the bathroom to like prove it to you, like we will use that at every opportunity we can. Thank you, and welcome to my TED Talk.
and then also escape out of the bathroom window.
Have you done that before?
No, but I've wanted to. Very much. So, she's going to these diplomatic things, right? And she's writing all over herself.
Uh-huh.
And Jacques is like, hey girl, you know this is like super dangerous, right? Like, what happens if you would get caught? And he claims that she would just laugh and say, oh, nobody would think I'm a spy, don't worry. Also,
It's true, though.
And she was very correct.
Yeah.
At some point, she also started hiding resistance fighters at her chateau. And I guess the Nazis caught wind of it. And so they came and visited the estate at one point. And she had resistance fighters in the basement there. So if they had found them, they would have probably all died. And she managed to charm them off the property without even conducting a search. This is how badass she was. Like, isn't that amazing?
Those are the social skills that I wish that I had.
Oh, man. Same. So much same. Like, so much.
Oh, man.
So, after that, however, she was a little rattled because the Nazis came to her house. And, obviously that was a very close call.
Yeah.
And Jacques, at this point, was frustrated with the French army. So he resigned from the French army and officially joined the French resistance. And they got in contact with the leader, who was a guy named General de Gaulle, General Charles de Gaulle. And, he's like, look, we need you to travel through Lisbon to London to get us these documents, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the perfect cover for that? Well, they said that she was going to go on a South American tour.
Oh,
and
nice.
Jacques,
South American?
Yes.
Lisbon to what?
So they were in France. They're going to go to Spain. Then they're going to go to Portugal, which was neutral at the time, and then ostensibly go to South America from there.
Okay.
Jacques, who was this, important counterintelligence officer, posed as her secretary. And that's how he traveled. Sorry, it just made me giggle so much. Like, super spy passing as a secretary in the 1930s, 40s? 40s. 1940,
Yeah.
This is when this happened. Right. So, between the two of them, they ended up carrying over 50 classified documents and secret intelligence to Charles de Gaulle. 50. That's a lot. She used to hide photographs in her dress. She would carry along sheet music and write information about troop movements in France in invisible ink in the margins. They were dedicated, but because, and like with the photographs and stuff in her dress, because she was Josephine Baker, she was never strip searched, and they didn't bat an eye at her secretary because they didn't care about him.
Yeah.
So they went from France to Spain to Portugal. No one really cared. Star power allowed Jacques to travel unnoticed, basically, in the shadows. When she got to Spain and Portugal, she got invited to a bunch of embassy parties, and any details she could get about Axis troop movements, she would get. And she would do this by squirreling away in the bathroom and make detailed notes when she was there, and then pin them in her bra.
Nice.
She is quoted as saying, or she wrote later, my notes would have been highly compromising had they been discovered. But who would dare search Josephine Baker to the skin? When they asked me for my papers, they generally meant autographs.
LOL.
Right? Doesn't she just
You
sound
go.
like... Doesn't she sound like
Yeah.
the coolest?
Fucking queen of it all.
Right? Like, this is
Yeah.
some real-ass spy shit. Like...
But it's not even just real ass spy shit. It's just like the dominance in the situation
hell
of
yeah.
just being like, oh, I know exactly who the fuck I am. Like,
Yeah! It's... Oh, man. I love her so much. So in 1941, they made their way to Morocco. They were tasked with setting up a liaison transmission center in Casablanca. Casablanca? I don't know. I don't like either of those pronunciations. But anyways. Josephine Baker brought 28 pieces of luggage and a portable zoo.
LOL.
She brought 3 monkeys, 2 mice, a hamster, and a Great Dane. She refused to leave them behind. She said that they were she loved them and they would never leave her behind, and also they would be the perfect cover. No one would suspect she was a spy traveling with a zoo. To be fair, it did work. While they were there, they worked extensively with the French Resistance Network and she used her connections to secure passports for Jews fleeing the Nazis. How amazing is that?
Wow.
Of her own initiative, she also entertained Allied troops and the Free French Army. The Free French Army was the resistance, and they did not have any organized entertainment set up for the troops at all. So she literally just did it on her own.
Wow.
Yes. Unfortunately, in June of 1941, she was struck very ill with peritonitis. She had to have like 5 or 6 surgeries, and she was in the hospital for 18 months.
Wow.
18 months in the hospital. She was in the hospital so long that people thought she was dead. However,
Oh my God.
she quickly corrected them, and she is quoted as saying, "There has been a slight error. I am much too busy to die." Right? So once she was discharged, she had a hefty recovery, because when she was in a hospital for that long, obviously her muscles and everything atrophied. She had been in a lot of pain. She had a lot of scars. Like, she had a lot of recovering to do. But once she was discharged, she began performing for the troops in North Africa to boost morale. The morale was kind of low, especially with the American soldiers. Once the Americans got there and invaded as part of the war effort, they were not allowed to socialize with locals, or local girls is really what they were after, due to the laws there. And because it's America, all the troops were still segregated, so there was tension between the black and white GIs.
Wow.
Also, fun fact, during this time she connected a lot more with the black soldiers. Obviously, she's from America, she's an African American, but she had spent so long overseas, I think that maybe she'd been a little bit disconnected, so she connected more with black soldiers and learned about the continued racism and discrimination in the U.S. Like the fact that while there was American soldiers in World War II, most were cooks, construction workers, or servers, and even the ones that were in combat were generally not allowed to have weapons.
Wow, that's fucked up.
So they had African American soldiers in combat units and didn't give them weapons. They would also test, like, mustard gas and all this kind of shit on them.
Wow.
To see how it would affect them versus other soldiers. Like,
Oh
the
my God.
Americans would do this to the American black soldiers. Anyways, that's a whole other thing that's fucked up.
Wow.
I wanted to talk about a slightly happier story today.
I was like, didn't you just say at the
I know.
beginning of this that this was going to be a happy story? Just kidding, guys. There is no happy in history. I'm just saying that.
It's true, but Josephine, right?
Mistakes are the portals of discovery.
That's a tattoo right there.
It was actually from a fortune cookie that I got one time.
Oh my God, I love it. So, while there's all this terrible morale with the troops in Africa, the Red Cross decided to open something called the Liberty Club, where the American soldiers could enjoy themselves. However, the blacks and whites still had to go at different times. because they were still segregated because America. However, the club needed entertainment. So Josephine, still recovering, stepped up. However, she made a stipulation that if she was going to perform for the troops, that they would have to allow all the troops to sit at the same time. She didn't want them segregated. She's quoted as saying, "We have got to show that blacks and whites are treated equally in the American army, or else what's the point of waging the war on Hitler?"
Yo.
And the club agreed. And for her performance, it was desegregated. And also, this poor woman, the first performance, it was so emotional, and she was still recovering that she ended up on her knees at the end of the song. And apparently many of the people in the audience were in tears.
Aww.
I know. She was amazing. So, she continued during this time performing all over Northern Africa. She would go along in jeeps and perform for anyone wherever she could, wherever they told her to. In 1943, she finally met the famous General Charles de Gaulle, the guy who was in charge of the Free French Army, for the first time. She gave a benefit for the Free French forces. Jesus, say that like 12 times fast. And when she did that, he presented her with a Croix de Lorraine, which is the emblem of the French forces. Later, she ended up auctioning it off for a fundraising effort. And actually, after this, she began to tour. And when she was touring, she donated all of the money she made to the Free French cause. She raised more than 3 million francs. And she was awarded, and her other work, she was awarded the honorary rank of sub-lieutenant in the Ladies Auxiliary of the French Air Force.
Wow.
So, the next year, in 1944, when Paris was liberated, she came back to France and she donned her uniform. There's some pictures of her in her Air Force uniform, and it's just the most heartwarming thing you've ever seen. And when she came back, and after Germany surrendered, she went to Germany to sing for the newly liberated people of Buchenwald concentration camp, who were too sick to be moved, and many of which were dying and later died.
No.
After she did that, she did not talk about her performances there. But I thought it was worth mentioning. It was probably very sad. And I was reading, too, that she also had issues when she was entertaining the troops, because she knew that even though they were so happy and, like, rowdy and, having fun when she entertained them, that many of them were going off to die.
Yeah.
And, I remember when I was a kid and I used to think about, the men in World War II. You think, like, grown-ass adults. No. These were boys.
Yeah.
Mostly boys.
It makes me think of that movie when an Englishman went up a hill and came down a mountain.
Yeah.
Johnny Shellshock.
Yep. And they're boys. And, it's just, I can't imagine how heartbreaking it was. And apparently it was something that she really struggled with, was the knowledge. And sometimes because of her work, she would know before these men did, what they were going to go be facing. Yeah. And so it was very difficult for her. But anyway, so after the war, recognition, she was well rewarded with awards including La Croix, is it La or Le? Croix de Guerre, which is the Cross of War, I'm assuming. The Medal of Resistance, as well as the Chevalier de Légion d'Honneur, which is the highest order of French merit. Definitely well rewarded for all of her hard work for the French resistance. Yeah. And, during and after the war, she adopted 12 children, who she called her Rainbow Village, children from all over the world. She wanted to show that people of different races and backgrounds could come together in harmony. Later in life, she also worked extensively with the NAACP. They even had the 20th of May, 1951, declared Josephine Baker Day, because of her efforts to save
Willie McGee.
Yes, thank you. Because Willie McGee was a Mississippi man convicted of raping a white woman based on shitty evidence, and racism. He was convicted and sent to death. They really fought really hard, and she really charged the fight for that, but he was still executed in 1951. In 1963, she also spoke at the March on Washington at the side of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. She was the only female speaker, and she was there in her French Air Force uniform. She is quoted as saying, "I have walked into the palaces of kings and queens and into the houses of presidents and much more, but I could not walk into a hotel in America and get a cup of coffee, and that made me mad. And when I get mad, you know that I open my big mouth. And then look out, because when Josephine opens her mouth, they hear it all over the world." Bam. And that's the story of fucking badass Josephine Baker, international spy, and superstar.
Yeah, no, she definitely is an international badass and superstar.
Yeah, and like I said, when I was thinking about spies, like, I was looking up spies during World War II, and, like, she only came up on, like, one of the lists, maybe. I'm like, but she did a lot of shit. And she took a lot of personal risks, you know what I mean? Like, she was very important and crucial to the war effort. And
I feel like that is a great example of just living life to the fucking fullest.
oh, yeah.
That it just, no matter what, you know?
Yeah.
No matter what life throws at you, you're like, oh, this country is super fucked up. Fuck it, I'm gonna move somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a fucking war, and it's terrible and horrific. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I can to stop that from happening.
Right?
Literally.
I'm literally going to use my pilot's license and private plane to fly supplies where they are needed.
Yeah.
Like, I just could not believe, like, that's just crazy to me. So yeah, I hope you liked my story.
Yeah, no, that was a... I'm gonna say something about yawning. That was a good one.
Yeah?
What are you eating?
My dairy-free Ben & Jerry's. But you like...
Yeah, no, very interesting. I always, like... I remember hearing that about Josephine Baker, but I never actually took the time to look her up. So I'm glad that...
Like,
I'm glad that you got to tell me. 'Cause
yay!
I needed to know. I really did.
Yeah, she was definitely like I said, this week's been kind of hard. It's so funny how I keep on finding subjects that, like, have extra meaning for me. This week was, like, really tough and stressful. When I'm reading about her and all the stuff she did, and I'm like, she's a badass. It's because we're badasses. I can do this. She did it. I mean, she did way cooler things than I'm doing. But helpful inspiration to get through my day.
To get through any day, honestly.
Yeah.
And
And
a little banana skirt.
I know, right? And I, like, recognized her from, like, cutesy Charleston dances in, like, the 20s and stuff, but, like, I had no idea that she was that important to the war effort and, you know, all the other cool shit that she did. You know, and obviously I didn't even talk about her entertainment career as much. I just wanted to focus on her World War II spy stuff, but, like, she's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know? Big deal.
Big deal.
So, yeah.
Please stop eating ice cream in front of me.
Why?
Because I don't like it.
It's my only joy I have in life right now.
Wow, fuck you.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I said it.
I can't eat cookies. I can't have coffee. I can't have alcohol. I can't have bread. I can't eat.
All right, fine, whatever. There's your joy.
I haven't even had a raging Diet Coke, okay?
Well, probably because it's a little too ragey. Am I right?
No, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell me a story?
No. I'm going to tell you a nightmare.
I knew you were going to say that, actually.
It's really funny. I was thinking about how lame it was as it came out of my mouth. Yes, so, are you ready?
I am.
All right, it's particularly awful and dreadful to boot.
Dreadful?
Dreadful to boot.
Oh dear.
It's quite terrible.
No, thank you.
Oh, yes. So today I will be talking about the Dungeon in Dewitt.
Is that cool or not?
It is not cool. It is like an actual dungeon. Kind of like the... What's an O place? Like the Oubliette of Oklahoma.
Ugh.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Oklahoma gives me some oubliette vibes.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
know why, out of all of the states that I've driven through
Dude,
in my adult life, like, Oklahoma creeps me the fuck out.
Because it's creepy.
It's just, it's not creepy. So the Dungeon in DeWitt. I didn't know about this. I never heard about it. I have a friend who lives nearby to DeWitt, and one day they were like, "Hey, did I ever tell you about the kidnapper that lived down the street from my elementary school and kidnapped like young girls when I was a kid?" And I was like, "Well, that sounds like a cheerful tale and like a very casual conversation topic. No, you have not told me that. Like, what? What?
Let me just bring that up over brunch, why don't I?
Just like, yeah, no, I was very taken aback by that. And also, my main thing that I was struck by was like, I can't imagine raising a kid after knowing that someone was just down the street. And here's the annoying thing about my paranoia in my brain is like,
It's just the one thing.
it's just the annoying thing, is that, after finding that out, how can you not be like, oh shit, this is, it really is upsetting. It really is upsetting. It's like, I don't know how people, like, okay, so I was living in Florida, okay, and I was staying at the house. I was there by myself for a few months, and someone tried to break into the house several times.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like 3 times.
In Oviedo?
Yes.
What?
Yes, you didn't know this?
No!
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they tried to break into your room. They tried to break into the bathroom. Yeah. Yeah. So, that was upsetting, and that house already freaked me out.
I was gonna say.
That, well, and honestly, it's like, to be quite fair, I didn't feel that threatened, because I assumed that it was just, like, teenagers.
Dumb kids, yeah.
Stupid. I don't think that it was actually something weird, but also if it was, I don't know. Like, what if some weird man is trying to break into my house and do something fucking weird to me? It's just when you find out, it's like the whole Ariel, the guy who kidnapped the girls in Ohio.
Oh.
Ariel Castro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this case has been compared to that, so buckle up. This actually did happen down the street from my friend. They grew up there. I also found out that another person I know actually was connected to the situation as well, which I was surprised about. So that's why I wondered about it, because people brought it up to me. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, holy shit. So let's get into it, and we can all have that holy shit moment together.
Yay.
All right? So, we're going to start off talking about Mr. John Jamalski. All right? So, John Jamalski was born in Fayetteville, New York, which is very close to DeWitt, and that is a suburb of Syracuse. He was born in 1935, all right? His father was a watchmaker, was the trade that he did at the time. Growing up, Jamalski was kind of an outcast. He was, in school, he was, like, very quiet and withdrawn, rarely spoke to people, and was just, he was also described as an underachiever. So it's like, not only was he not speaking to people, but he also, like, wasn't doing his shit and just, like, wasn't interested. However, when he would tell his children about his high school experience, like later on in life, he would tell them something completely different. And he would say that he, like, all the girls wanted to be with him and he was really good at sports. And he would
He
just,
was
like,
a player and popular and blah, blah, blah.
yeah, and he would just completely lie about that. So
Cool.
he was, like I said, an academic underachiever, and he was bullied by other students. They would call him John Jamalski.
Sorry. Knowing that
It's not like,
knowing that he's a kidnapper just makes me feel okay at laughing at it.
yeah, no, he's a real terrible dude, but, yeah, John Jamalski. So then he went to Morrisville State College and got a degree in watchmaking in 1955, because what else would you go to school for? Dad's a watchmaker. You obviously are destined to make watches.
Wow. I didn't
And
even
do
know that
other
was
terrible things.
I mean, I guess it was the 50s, so I guess you could still go to school to be a watchmaker back then.
I suppose, yeah. But then that also made me think of that show, The Repair Shop, when I'm just like, these people know a fuck ton about this shit. And
They went to school for it.
I was going to say, how could you not if you didn't major in watchmaking? Was that the right use of negatives?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I don't know.
Anyway. He also did a few blue-collar jobs. He worked as a handyman, and he worked as a carpenter. And then in 1959, he married a school teacher named Dorothy Richmond. They had 3 sons together. Unfortunately, the first son died as an infant. So he had 2 sons into, that became adults. God, that was such a weird way to say that, but...
He had 2 sons that became into adults. Yes.
Anyways, so in 1988, Dorothy became ill, and she was so ill that she was bedridden. Right before she was, having these health issues, there were actually some reports that Jamalski had begun an affair with a teenage girl.
Ew.
Yeah, which, like, it's not an affair. Like,
yeah, I was
that's
going to say,
grooming.
that's called grooming.
It's disgusting. Not an affair, so that's terrible. And apparently he would even bring her to family gatherings.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What year was this?
So this was probably in 87, early 88, right before Dorothy, like, became, really, had, like, really severe health issues. So, that really kind of gets you geared toward the rest of the story. So Dorothy is bedridden in the house in DeWitt and Syracuse. This area is like a really suburban area, close to this house. This house is not particularly noticeable. To be honest, I had that wrong house at first. And I, like, took pictures and, like, drove by the house and then found out that it was another house, and I had never even noticed the other house before. The first house that I thought it was, it was just a few homes down, but it looks very creepy. And when you sort of, like, read about the articles about Jamalski, they're saying, like, oh, he put all these trees around his property, he built this fence up, and this is a house that fits that description. However, that house is next to a church, so that would have added an extra creepy element, because remember, the story is a dungeon in DeWitt.
Yeah.
So, yes. But the house that it actually is very unassuming. It's like a bungalow-style, one-story house, and it's just, like, very quick. It almost, like, you can't see the back of it, but from the road, like, it almost kind of looks like a double wide. Like,
I was going to say, I'm looking at the picture that you sent me, and it looks like a double wide.
Yeah, and it's like, and it doesn't really look like there's much yard. It doesn't really look like there's much going on. And again, like, I never even remembered seeing that house on that road, and I've driven on that road a bunch of times. So I would say it's like an upper middle class area. A lot of the houses around him, like, are a lot nicer looking than his.
I mean, but
much
it's not
larger.
Yeah, but it's not like
much
run down looking or anything. It looks like
it's
a
not
normal
run down.
house.
Yeah, it just looks normal compared to, like, these really large, expensive houses.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, right across the street is an elementary school.
Oh my god, is that...
Yeah.
That's worse than the church.
It's kitty corner. It's like church, elementary school, golf course. It's like your standard like neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, so upsetting.
You never know the horrors that could be going on in your neighborhood, guys. You're welcome.
Yeah. Back to Jamalski. Now, 1988, Dorothy becomes ill. He also kidnaps his first victim.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Didn't waste any fucking time at all. You know, he already had the situation where he was grooming this young teen. His wife becomes ill, and he's like, this is the perfect time for me to act on all of my disgusting tendencies because no one can stop me. And
no one is there to catch me or complain.
No one's there to catch me or complain. And also, I happen to have a fucking bunker basement situation going on. Now, Jamalski did not build the bunker by himself.
Okay.
He actually had his sons help him build the bunker. Now, they were under the impression that it was like a safety situation should the world kind of like blow up or some shit, or that it was just like an emergency storage or food rations kind of situation. They had no idea, allegedly, that, I mean, I'm not saying that they did, but I'm just saying like that is what is said, that they said that they had no idea about it, but it's like he had this plan in motion, okay? And he kidnapped his first victim, okay? So he didn't even have the basement, the bunker, at this time when he kidnapped his first victim. His wife is bedridden, he's ready to go, and he's like, I need a place to put someone. So what did he do?
So he already kidnapped her, and then he realized that he needed a place to put her?
He found the victim, so all the names have been changed, obviously, to protect the identity of the victims. Just put that out there. But in October 1988, Jamalski's first victim was a 14-year-old Native American girl, and her name was Katie.
Ugh.
He put Katie in the well in his mother's backyard.
Did you say 14?
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine?
Wait. I'm so sorry. My brain is slowly catching up. Did you say well?
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Could you imagine not only being like abducted, being threatened, having your family threatened, being terrified, and then this creepy ass old white dude just sticks you in a fucking well and is like, I'm gonna leave you here until I get you your bunker that is gonna be just made for you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. And yeah, so his sons actually helped him build the bunker, but they didn't have any idea what was going on. And that's what they told law enforcement, is that they didn't, they assumed that it was for...
What, that he was like a
prepper, I guess?
Yeah, prepper.
Like for safety reasons.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
For food rations. I really don't know what people need bunkers for.
Kidnapping people,
the whole
obviously.
idea kind of freaks me out. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's just really upsetting. So,
okay, in my opinion, I know people might say that they have bunkers for real reasons, but in my opinion, bunkers are for probably you're going to kill someone or torture someone or kidnap someone or do something else terrible where you don't want anybody to hear or see or find it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like,
I just don't like
it's
them.
really upsetting.
Yeah.
And it's like all this effort to build this. And it's on a main road, which is also even more upsetting that this was like something
right there
that people driving by were like, oh, they're working on a project. Maybe they're getting a new septic tank. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, this is just right there out in the open, making this horrific space to put people in.
No, not people. Women, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Well, women are people, Sarah. Wow. I can't believe that. I had to tell you that. Wow.
You're the worst.
We're people too, okay?
I just don't like you.
Yeah. So, that same year, while Jamalski is having his son build his fucking nasty dungeon bunker basement with him, His wife is sick and dying inside this house. His mother has no idea that there's a 14-year-old girl stuck in her well, and he is also convincing his father to invest in stocks. So, eventually when his father and mother died, he came into a lot of money because he had convinced them to invest their money in all of these things. So, in by 2000, I know I kind of jumped here, but I mean, this is just like a side note.
Side
Like,
note,
by
got it.
2000, he was a millionaire.
Hi,
yeah.
where is karmic justice, by the way? Why is
It's
that allowed to
just-
happen?
Anyways, it's just like, he was just doing shit in 1988 where it was just like, oh shit, now my wife's out of the way. I'm just gonna do whatever
Do
the fuck I want.
whatever the fuck I want.
Which is also upsetting. Like, why is this the shit that you want? Like, that is not okay.
Right?
So, yeah. All right. So, back to Katie. Jamalski had convinced her that if she were to try to escape or to try to do something to get away or to hurt him, then he would kill her whole family and that he would torture her little brother and just repeating all of this shit to her. Obviously, as a terrified kid, she didn't know what to do.
I was gonna say, terrified, abducted, tortured kid. Yeah.
Yeah. He held Katie captive for over 2 years.
I'm sorry, so she was 14 at this point, right?
By the time he released her, she was 17.
So...
And here's the thing about Jamalski. Okay, we've been saying kidnapping. He's a serial rapist and kidnapper. He was assaulting his victims on a daily basis.
Ugh.
He would force them to keep a calendar of the days that he would do certain things to them, or that they would the calendar also included them brushing their teeth or bathing. But yeah, so Katie was the first victim, and she was...
So if she was there for, you said, over 2 years?
Yeah.
So that's, at 17, that's 12% of her life is spent in this fucking well /
bunker.
Ugh.
So, the bunker. Let's talk about that. They got her out of the well, and they put her in the bunker, okay? The bunker is it's in his basement. The entrance to it is in his basement. It's behind a shelf, and there's a steel door. You have to get on your hands and knees, and crawl through a tunnel, and then come into the room, backwards, because the tunnel ends at the ceiling of where the bunker starts. So you have to walk down into it, because it's lower. The floor is lower. In that room, there's another door on the beginning of the tunnel, where the door is up towards the ceiling, that has a lock on it. There are speakers where he would play the sounds of tapes of other victims. I'm assuming there's a video camera somewhere in that situation as well. There was a foam pad for them to sleep on, and there was a metal tub in the middle of the room that wasn't connected to any plumbing. When they were to take a bath, it had a garden hose, so that's how they could fill it up, and then they had to just empty it, and it would just empty into the room onto the cement floor. 2 years.
Oh my god. So that's gotta be so fucking moldy and filthy.
Just terrible. There's a little tube for air that goes out of the corner of the room, so that way he can pump air into the room. And there's a chair that has a toilet seat attached to it, the frame of a chair that has a toilet seat attached to it over a 5-gallon bucket. 2 years.
Oh my god.
On the walls it says, by the way, Jamalski called his bunker the quote-unquote party room.
Ew.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So on the walls, a crucifix hung by the door, and the words were painted that said, "Peace to all who enter here, hate, ready to ruckus, so bring on the pain." It looks like they're spray painted in a deep crimson red color. There was also some religious phrases and peace symbols, and he would shackle his victims up with a chain that connected them to an ankle bracelet, and that was it. 2 years.
How much room was there in there?
It was a 8 feet high, 24 feet by 12 feet.
So that's... Hold on, I just had my calculator up. That's under 300 square feet
Yeah.
for 2 years. With
And like I said,
concrete, a foam pad, a chair with a toilet seat on it but no plumbing, and a tub with no plumbing.
and air is just being pumped in here. There's like no, you know what I mean? It's just, I can't imagine.
There's no air actual circulation.
I think that there's like a duct or like a makeshift duct situation, which would be connected to like a ventilation system. I'm assuming. One of the victims said that I don't want to get into. Well, yeah, one of the victims said that he would threaten to turn on and off the air.
As torture. Yay.
Yeah, yeah,
Wonderful.
because that's their only access to air. They're in a sealed room underground. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So, eventually he did let Katie go. And
Wait, he just let her go?
he just let her go. And
Why?
he just,
Got tired of her?
he had a habit of like just letting his victims go. Unfortunately, due to all the threats and the torture and like the just straight up terror that she experienced, she never went to the police and she never reported it after it happened. Okay.
She was also a teenager who was subjected to this torture, and you said she was Native American?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure she didn't think that the police would believe her.
Yeah. So in around 1995 or 1996, Jamalski abducted his second victim, another 14-year-old girl. This time she was Latina, and her name is Valerie. Valerie was a runaway, and he was able to lure her under the premise that she would be like helping him deliver a quote-unquote special package. So he was hiring her to deliver this package because the information was too critical, and if anyone saw him with it, he kind of was selling her like a born ultimatum situation of like, I can't be seen with this and I just need somebody to do this for me. And like, since she was a runaway, she,
How old was she?
14.
Ugh.
And she needed money, so she like agreed. And he, like, when she was in the car with him, he told her to keep her head down so no one would see her, like, basically saying, like, if anyone saw her and then saw her with the package, it would be really bad, and just trying to feed her this lie to her, basically. And then he was saying that when he got to his house, he was like, okay, well, the package is in the basement, and it's so important, like, we need to go and get it, so, and that's how she ended up down there. And then as soon as she was inside, of course, he locked her in and chained her up. She was held in his dungeon for a year. After about a year, Jamalski put a blindfold on her and drove her to an area that happened to be near her mother's apartment, and just like dropped her off and just like kind of pushed her out of the car. And he had threatened to kill her family too. He had told another thing that he would tell his victims. He told them that he was working for the police in like a sex trafficking ring, and that if they were good and basically like if they let him assault them, then the police wouldn't come and like sell them to somebody else. They would have a little more time before they were like sold into sex slavery, basically.
What?
And he told them that he was working with the police in this situation. So that's like another element of psychological, fuckery that, why would I go to the police? He's working for the police. He had like a badge. He had some kind of badge. I remember seeing about that where he had like found like this like Syracuse badge somewhere, and he would like flash it to them and be like, yeah. But I mean, obviously it wasn't his. He had just found it. Yeah. So, yeah, so she happened to be dropped by her mother's apartment, which was like really lucky for her. And even though she was threatened, she immediately went to the police, which is,
After being kidnapped for a year and this guy threatening
yeah.
her, she still went to the police.
Which, like, you're being held underground in gross conditions. Like, you're chained up. You would think that there's got to be some kind of physical evidence that shows that you were kidnapped. Like
malnutrition,
malnutrition, like darkness around the eyes, or like something, like, it's like paleness. I don't even know. Like, something has got to be like at least signs to be like, maybe we should look into this. So she did go to the police, but apparently because of her previous drug use that was on her record, they questioned her credibility and dropped the investigation after she reported it. They were like, yeah, no, she's probably just on drugs. She's just a druggie. Like,
cool
and never
beans. Cool.
investigated it. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's absolutely terrible. And now we go on to 1997, when Jamalski kidnapped his third victim. This time it was a 53-year-old Vietnamese woman, and her name was Mai, and she was a refugee, and he attacked her on the street in downtown Syracuse. Since Mai was a refugee, she spoke very little English.
Yeah.
And, he attacked her, he forced her into his car, took her to an abandoned house where he raped her, and then tied her to a stack of flattened cardboard boxes and drove her to his house, where he held her in his dungeon and would continue to assault her on a regular basis. And he, like I said earlier, he made them keep a calendar. It was etched into the wall of the room, where he would make them like mark different letters for, like, if like a B if they bathed, a T if they brushed their teeth, and an S for every
assault
time that they were assaulted. Yeah. Now, about just under a year later, on May 23rd in 1988, he blindfolded May and drove her to a Greyhound bus station, gave her $50 and just let her go. She reported to the police that day. And
go May.
But she said that the police didn't believe her. The Syracuse police spokesman, Sergeant Thomas Connellan, stated that they, quote unquote, investigated all leads, none of which panned out. So don't believe that shit.
I was going to say, so they have two people that have reporting this
being kidnapped,
held at this place, and they still didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Cool. Love that. Just love it. Mm-hmm.
So now we're on to victim number 4. There was a gap between those victims, by the way. He released May in 1988, and on May 11th, 2001, is when he abducted his 4th victim, allegedly. A lot of people speculate as to whether there was another victim that just never came forward in the trial, or, or some people allege worse, in that he killed his actual 4th victim, and that Jocelyn, who's stated to be his 4th victim, is actually his 5th. Yeah.
I mean, there doesn't seem...
Both are speculation.
Yeah, I mean, why else would there be, like, a gap, though?
That's kind of how I feel, because he, didn't waste any time. He had,
aside from this
as
random
soon
gap.
as Dorothy... And by the way, Dorothy died in, I think, 1999. So he had already kidnapped 3 people before she died. And, I mean, and that was a catalyst for him, making excuses for his behavior and saying, oh, this is, now I'm going to do this now, is because my wife is sick. She's not going to say anything. So it's it's very hard for me to believe that he would just
There was just
stop.
a random gap.
Yeah.
Of how long you said it was? A year?
May was let go on May 23rd in 1998, and May 11th, 2001 is when he kidnapped Jocelyn.
Oh, so that's 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so there could be more than one victim in that gap.
Oh, that's so much more depressed.
Yeah. Later in the trial, his attorney was like, "This isn't a Silence of the Lambs situation. They haven't found any bodies, and I don't think they're going to."
Oh, okay.
And I was like,
so it's
"Oh,
fine if they don't find bodies, even though he put her in a literal well?
well, no. I mean, that just made me feel like, oh, so there probably are some bodies out there. They
Oh.
haven't found any bodies, and I don't think they're going to. It's just like,
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
yeah." Anyways. So, yeah. So now we're back at Jocelyn in May of 2001. And Jocelyn was partying in downtown Syracuse. She was walking from one party to another. She had taken LSD. Um, and she was just like having a time out. She said that there were some people that were harassing her on the street, and she was getting scared, probably getting a little tripped out. And Jamalski happened to notice the situation. He pulled up next to her and offered her a ride, and she accepted.
How old
And
is she?
she was 26.
Ugh, okay.
She didn't hesitate to get in the car because of the situation that she was in.
Yeah,
She was
she's
like,
like,
"Oh, this person is just trying to help me."
Yeah, thank God I found an out.
Yeah, she actually said it in an interview. She was like, why would I think this old white guy, was doing anything? I just thought he was trying to be like an old white guy,
Let
like
me drive you home, Sally.
Yeah, it's so annoyingly dangerous to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
It really is fucked up.
But then when you're suspicious, it's like, why do
Then
you...
you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah, why are you being
Yeah.
a bitch? Why do you just assume the worst of people? Because of
I-
shit like this, Frank. Okay?
I'm sorry, guys. If you remember, women aren't people.
You're the worst. The worst.
LOL.
She's the worst, guys.
The worst. Yeah. So she needed a ride. She was just thinking that he was trying to help her. Of course, Jamalski did not take her home or to where she asked to go. He took her to his bunker of dungeon terribleness instead and subjected her to the same treatment as his other victims. She resisted his attacks very much. And so he, I didn't see any reports of from anyone else that he would take away their air. I don't know if that was part of a thing, but she said that that he would really try to fuck with her. He burned her with a cigar so many times that she developed an abscess on her back.
What?
And that several times he would take the air out of the dungeon, leaving her in the pitch black darkness. He would shut off all the electricity so that there was no light and that she couldn't see anything.
Oh, God, that's awful.
I really can't imagine. And he would pump the sounds of other victims screaming. So not only is she in the pitch black, she's afraid that she's going to suffocate. She's also been brutally tortured.
And now psychological torture as well.
And now on top of that, she's hearing screams of other people. She thinks that there are other women in this bunker in here with her that are being tortured.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So he also told her that he was part of an underground sex slavery ring and that the police were his bosses and that they were the ones telling him what to do. So there's no point going into the police because I am saving you from them. That was the story that he sold them, was you don't want them to have to come down here. You should just let me do this to you because if they get a hold of you, it's going to be much worse. So I'm doing you a favor by fucking you up. I can't even handle how someone's brain comes up with this shit.
That's I'm broken. That's just so disgusting
And then on top of that, the police, they don't fucking do anything.
Yeah.
So, how much would that fuck you up just being oh my God, maybe he was fucking right.
Yeah.
I really can't handle it. Yeah, so she said He made me think that he wasn't working alone and that his bosses were in the police department, and he would show me the passports of other women and say that they would drug women and put them in a wheelchair and sell them to whoever was buying them.
Oh my
So
god.
just like really playing up this story here. And another ridiculous part about this case when it actually like came out, after Jamalski was arrested, it took his lawyers days, actual days, to convince him that what he did to these women was in fact kidnapping.
What?
Yeah, Jamalski thought that since he never ransomed them and he let them go, it didn't count as kidnapping. And that the most he would have to do was some community service.
What? Wait.
Fucking delusional.
What?
Yes.
I mean, he's an old white dude, so I guess it's not that far out of the realm of possibilities that he would only have to do community service, but like...
Sorry, no excuses for gargoyles.
He didn't think it was kidnapping because he didn't set a ransom?
Yeah, apparently...
That's still holding somebody against their will.
Yeah. Yeah, he would do other weird things, like he made Jocelyn like read the Bible to him. He made her teach him how to play poker. And he would talk about how he thought it was funny that they were searching for her on the TV because they, quote, were never going to find her.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was like, yeah, that's what we would talk about. That's what he would talk to me about. Now, she was held for 2 months. And, like, this was her experience. I cannot even imagine what a year to 2 years of this would be and how to survive that and then go to the police
And
after that, after being fed all of this fucked up shit. And then have them being like, no, we don't think that's true. We don't believe you. And then also, you know, by now, he's a millionaire.
I forgot about that part.
He's still living in his weird little house, but it's like he's got money and investments, and he has, like, you know, he's rolling in shit, and it's just, it's kind of weird. I would feel really weird about that because I'd be like, oh, well, maybe he really could pay the fucking police off. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess that's true.
You know? Anyways.
Ugh.
So Jocelyn, like, really wanted to write home to her parents and to her family to, like, let them know that she was alive. And Jamalski agreed that she could, but only if she said that she was in a drug rehab clinic. So she obviously jumped on that opportunity and wrote her family a letter because she didn't want them to think that she was dead.
Yeah, or stop looking for her.
Yeah, because wasn't that a whole thing? That was actually one of the Castro girls, I'm pretty sure.
It was. Yeah, I know.
Her mom, that was the Sylvia Brown
Sylvia
thing, wasn't
Brown
it?
thing, yep.
Where Sylvia Brown told her mom that she was dead, and she was watching that on the news as Sylvia Brown told her mother that she was fucking dead. So, I don't know what year that was. I feel like this was after this, or maybe around the same time.
I think this might have been a little bit after this, but pretty close in time still.
2002 to 2013. So yeah, so by the time Jennifer is going through this, it's right before Castro starts being psycho.
I forgot that was that long.
Yeah, no, that was a very long situation.
True crime podcasters, how do you do this?
I don't know. I really don't.
This is intense.
So kudos to you guys. I'm just doing this because I literally, like, I was like, oh shit, this happened here and you know about this?
Like here?
Oh shit, this is the house?
Right
oh,
here?
Wait, what happened? Like, excuse me?
No.
He did what now? The police did what now? Like, that was me this entire time when I was looking this up.
He didn't think it was kidnapping what now? Like,
oh my god, it was just so gross. I hate it all. Anyways, so she did. She jumped on the opportunity. She wrote a letter that ended up, you know, once he released her, you know, because he released her 2 months later on July 7th of 2001. And obviously he, like, threatened her and her family, said no one would believe her, and, you know, which...
he was right, unfortunately.
Spoiler alert, he fucking was,
Yeah.
which is super annoying. But what happened is, she gets released, okay? She goes to her mom. Her mom takes her to the hospital that day to get a rape kit done. But unfortunately, not unfortunately, it's just like, unfortunately, they didn't find any evidence and they didn't believe her, which, like, that's the unfortunate part. But he had stopped assaulting her several days before he released her, so that way there was no fucking evidence. He had already thought about this ahead of time. So that's just like extra salt in the fucking wound.
Mm-hmm.
The letter that she wrote ended up quote unquote complicating her police investigation, because once he released her, she went to the police and she tried to get a rape kit, and then they didn't believe her because they were like, there's no evidence in this rape kit, and this letter says that you are fine, so maybe you're just crazy.
I mean, hey, bitches be crazy.
I'm about to blow my top.
I'm picturing
About
you
to
like a
blow
little
my
kettle
top.
with the steam coming out of your top of your head, and yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Because I was about to be like, they are still burning witches out here. So upsetting. But yeah, so she also, that same day that she had this experience, right, she had told a trusted friend that she grew up with, who happened to be a cop now, what Jamalski had done to her and what she had gone through. And her friend, her family friend who was a cop, did not believe her and did not do anything.
This is why men are trash.
Literally,
Yeah, but there's
this is really awful. Like, this is really, really bad.
Like, I feel like we're both breaking slowly, but we're like,
It's breaking my brain because I just can't understand how this is okay. But it's like, the astounding thing is that this happens all the fucking time.
all
Like,
the fucking time.
you know, when I told people around, like, I told like a couple of friends that I was looking into this. And then I got another story for you guys about that.
Ooh.
But I was like telling my friends, I was like, yeah, John Jamalski, da 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 da. And then I had two separate people be like, oh, was that the one in this area? Or was that the one in this area?
Ew.
There are multiple cases of people in New York State, and I'm sure in other states as well, where people just like hold people captive for like a few months / years and do terrible things to them. And like, there was one up here in the 70s, and there was another one in the 90s, and then this was like from the 80s to 2001, 2002. Like,
Wow.
I think he was caught in 2003. But like, it's just really, really astounding to me that this happens so often. And it's like also really interesting now because it's like, oh, well, because of like the media, like now it's more known. And this is my biggest fucking qualm with history and people romanticizing history, is because I'm like, yeah, there were no fucking cameras back then.
Well, but everybody, so that's the other thing with going back in time, is like everybody assumes like, oh, it's so much better back then. Correction, you just didn't hear about it because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, anyways. All right. I'm going to shake it off. All right. So.
I'm like just over here like shaking my head continually.
I know. It's really bad.
Oh, I just snorted.
I know. It was really bad. No, I'm just kidding. I love a good snort, you know?
A little snooty snort.
Yeah, sometimes I just, like, don't want to control the air in my body.
I mean, fair. Me neither.
You know, I just want to let it do its thing.
Who am I? I'm not an airbender.
Maybe you are. Maybe that's where the snorts come from.
No, I wish.
Oh, okay. All right.
Back to the terrible things.
Back to something really terrible. Her friend, who's a cop, didn't believe her, and Jocelyn is just like, oh my god, Jamalski said no one would believe me, and he was right. No one will believe me.
Yeah.
You know, and not only did the cops throw that letter in her face, but she was honest about what happened when she was kidnapped, and because she was partying and was on drugs when she was abducted, they treated her like a junkie. They dismissed her story, acting like she was like sick and crazy and didn't know what she was talking about.
Guys, spoiler alert, it doesn't even matter if you were the most innocent of innocent grown women. Because even if you were wearing a white dress and something covering your hair, and you were the most modest of modesty people, and
get what you're saying.
you went and told the police and had the kit done, they'd still be like, well, maybe you wanted it. You're so chaste.
Yeah.
You probably just wanted it.
Yeah.
You went out looking for it because you're deprived.
Ew,
You're ugly.
stop.
You wanted it. Why didn't you just enjoy yourself? Like, ugh. Anyways, sorry.
Wow, no,
It really
but it's so
doesn't
true.
matter if you're a partier, if you are married, if you like to date people, if
no,
you're
it really
a lesbian.
doesn't.
Like, it really doesn't matter what your life experiences are. They will find a way to blame it on you, regardless.
Yep.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
God, it's so true, though. So again, they're categorizing her as like a druggie and a drug user and a junkie and like an addict, okay? But she obviously had the wherewithal to report this, and also she told the police that Jamalski's car was a tan 1975 Mercury Comet.
Dang.
I don't know cars in years.
No,
We've
I
had
couldn't guesstimate.
Mazdas over the years. I couldn't tell you the difference between a 2014 and a 2015, or even a 2012.
Usually
That's what I'm saying.
But usually there's not much difference between the models in 1 year difference anyways.
That's a very good point. So they went out with her little tip and they were like, oh yeah, okay, let's look for a 1975 Mercury Comet. They found one that was tan and it wasn't the same guy. And they were like, wow, obviously you were a liar and a fiend and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay. They never actually looked over the full scope of when that model was being produced, which was from 1971 to 1977.
That's a big gap. See, again, with the same the same type of design for several years.
Yeah, the police completely neglected to search any other year, and after Jocelyn was released in 2001, Jamalski still wasn't caught for another 2 years. So, cool. Hashtag not cool. Since he was not caught and was not only still kidnapping people, but was also still free to use a telephone or a phone book, he would actually continue to harass her for those 2 years.
Oh, nice.
Not only did the police not fucking do anything for her, but he would call her at her work and would call her at home and would try to harass her and keep her compliant by telling her all of these things. It got so bad with him calling her at work that she quit her job and went to go work somewhere else because she didn't want him to know where she was. In October of 2002, which again, little bit of a gap there. I know he's busy on the phone with Jocelyn, but he let her go in the beginning of July of 2001, and this is October 2002.
And he only kept her for 2 months.
Exactly.
So who knows
there's no way
many?
of knowing if he kept other victims for shorter amounts of times or if he did worse things.
Yep.
But the gaps don't make me feel good.
No.
I would rather there not be any gaps.
Yeah.
I'd rather he not exist as a person, actually.
Just
that would be
be
nice.
erased from the face of the earth.
Just but from the beginning of time, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways. So in October of 2002, he picked up his final victim, allegedly, which was, it was because he was caught, but her name was Michaela, and she was a young black girl that was 16 years old at the time.
God.
She had run away from home when John found her walking along the street. She did manage to befriend Jamalski, and he took a special liking to her. He allowed her to come upstairs into his home, and, he still sealed all the exits and kept everything locked to keep her from escaping, but he felt so confident, in her and felt comfortable enough around her to take her out. So they went out bowling once.
Wow.
Then on April...
She was 16?
Yeah.
And how old was he at this point? Old?
Old. So he's old guy. 1935, it's 2003, so he's 68?
Yuck.
So they went bowling, and then in April of 2003, he took her to a karaoke bar, and, people definitely thought they were an odd couple, but he still didn't raise enough suspicion, and nobody said anything. So here's another thing about Jamalski. Now I'm going to tell you my other little anecdote or another reason why I was like, oh, I guess I have to talk about this now. So he was kind of like portrayed in, you know, the media when you look up like articles about the case and how, you know, them searching his home, and obviously it's the Dungeon of Dewitt, you know, he's also called the Boogeyman of Syracuse, and just like obviously it's just gross. When they searched his home, he apparently had a collection of 13,000 bottles and cans for like a returnable recycling center.
13,000.
Yeah, it's a big collection, and I'm like, where do you keep that? Is my question. Because here's the thing.
His whole basement? Like, what the fuck?
Something. I don't have like the capacity to understand what that means spatially, personally. I'd have to do the math to understand that. So if someone wants to do that and tweet us.
Actually,
cool.
yes, somebody do that, and we'll send you a present.
Oh, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
All right, it's on. You get a present. Anyways, yeah, so he's kind of like painted as a hoarder. And he was super, now he's a millionaire at this point, right?
Yeah.
But yet he still is collecting bottles and cans and returning them to the recycling center like on a very regular basis. So the people at the recycling center know exactly who he is. They see him all the fucking time and they're like, oh, it's that guy. Okay?
Ugh.
Now, so I asked, I had mentioned this earlier, right? I was telling a couple friends what I had learned about Jamalski and like why I looked it up, and I didn't know, you know, anything about it. And my friend goes, "What's his name? Like, who are you talking about?" And I was like, "John Jamalski." And she goes, "Oh." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
That was a weird reaction. And she was like, "Yeah. One time, I went to feed his cats."
Oh my god, she went in the house?
In the house. And I was like, what? How is that possible? How did you go? Like, you knew him? And she, like, explained that it was her friend she went with, and they went to go, like, she went with her friend to feed his cats because he had asked her friend to feed them. And they were, like, 15, 16 years old at the time. Here's also another thing, now that I'm fucking thinking about it. I asked her, oh my god, this is really upsetting, but I asked her when she went to the house, and oh shit, I just realized this. When she went to the house had to be between 1998 and 2000. Like, she couldn't remember exactly what year it was, but that was between when, that was in that gap. Which I didn't realize, because when she told me that, I was like, I'm pretty sure there was someone in the house when you were there. Like, what was the house like? Like, I was so taken aback. I mean, you hear this, you're like, holy shit. And now that I'm realizing it, I'm like, oh my god, there wasn't anybody in the house, and that's actually even more terrifying.
Well, there's no one
in a
known
weird
in
way.
the house. Yeah, what if...
In a really weird way. Like, that, this is how upsetting it is to be a fucking woman, dudes. Like, people, guys, everyone out there. Like, this is really upsetting that I'm like, there was no one abducted in the house, so the level of danger is increased.
Higher. It's higher.
Isn't that fucked up?
No, because that's exactly what I was thinking too, though. I was like, how did she not end up in that basement?
You would be safer if somebody was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah.
That's a fucked up thing to say. Like, anyways, so... Yeah, shit. I legit did, like, have, like, a mini conniption when she told me that, and I was like, oh my god, like, I can't believe you. You were there? And she was like, I had no idea. I didn't find out until, like, years later. And I was like, I get it.
I was
but
probably, like, accidentally hit her or something. Like, what?
I was taken aback. But I also asked her, I was like, so what was the house like? And she was like, it was like a normal house. I was like, did it smell bad? Was there, like, weird stuff everywhere? Was it, like, nasty or gross? Or, like, was it clean? Like, was it organized? And she was like, honestly, I just remember it being, like, a normal house. And, like, looking through his, like, cabinets maybe, but, like, wasn't anything weird. We fed the cats and we left. And I was like, And then after she told me that, I was like, oh, well, see, they portray him as like this hoarder and that they found all this shit in his house. And I found that interesting that,
Maybe,
obviously he was arrested in 2003. So it's like
yeah,
maybe he
maybe he didn't.
started going
Yeah.
buck wild like after that. Or
Yeah.
maybe it was all in the basement. I don't really know.
Ugh. Maybe.
So I thought that was interesting. Okay. So more than interesting. I was shocked and appalled.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're alive. Like,
Thank goodness. Ugh,
Jesus.
God. Ugh.
Both of them. I can't even handle that. Anyways, so now so now him and Michaela have been out bowling. He took her to karaoke, and the next week on April 9th, 2003, he took her with him to a bottle redemption center in Manlius to return recyclables that he had collected, part of his major recyclable collection. And while they were there, Michaela managed to convince him that she needed to use the phone to call a church to ask when their service times were.
Smart girl. Smart girl.
Yes. He let her go use the phone, and as soon as she was alone, she called her sister, and she told her where she was and what had happened to her, and then she hung up the phone and went back to Jamalski. Her sister redialed the number, thanks to caller ID, and called back, talked to one of the employees in the redemption center, and said, hey, my sister just called and she's kidnapped. She's with a random dude. They know exactly who he is.
Talking about?
Because they just saw him and they were like, yeah, I thought that was weird that he was with a young teenage black girl. Like, that seems odd, and we've never seen him with her before.
Yeah.
Okay. So they had mentioned that they were going to this, like, pet store, and, like, when he was there, just, like, in conversation, so they, had that as, like, okay, maybe he's going to be there. So Michaela managed to get to a phone again and called her sister again that same day. It was either, like, when they were at the pet store or, like, close to the pet store, and she was trying to describe where she was, and she used the words yellow and Dodge, and that's where they were able to, like, pinpoint that she was at, like, across the street, I think, from this, like, dealership. And, like, car dealership. And, yeah. So, 15 years after he started abducting and abusing these girls and women, he's finally fucking caught.
Wow.
After Michaela was able to get a hold of her sister a couple times, and, they were able to figure out where she was.
3 other reports.
Yeah.
Against him.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally can't believe that about the police. And, like, literally, they went on an MSNBC interview and were talking mad shit about some of the victims because of how they reported it, saying that they didn't help themselves, and just, like, fucked up shit. I don't have, like, the actual quotes, but they said yeah.
Victim blaming at its best.
Yeah. Yes.
Why? Like, what? But, ugh.
I know. It's just really, it's bad. I don't like it at all. So, in a prison interview with MSNBC, Jamalski said that he should not be punished for what he did, and that once arrested, he would at the most spend a couple days in jail, pay a fine, or perform some community service. LOL. Obviously, his lawyers had to convince him otherwise because he did a lot of really fucked up things. So, he is currently in the Clinton Correctional Facility, and on December 22nd of 2020, he had his first appeal for parole, which was denied.
Thank God.
I think his next one is, like, next year or something. And his attorney, Michael Forsyth, said that he believed that Jamalski had a better than usual chance of being released because of his age and the spread of coronavirus. So he was, like, trying to use the pandemic to get a fucking serial rapist out of jail.
Serial kidnapper, tortured rapist. Yes.
Yeah. In the, like, more recent news coverage of his parole hearing, District Attorney Bill Fitzpatrick said that it is an unimaginable terror to be kept in utter darkness and tortured like these women were, and he pleaded with the parole board to ask themselves if they would want Jamalski as their neighbor. And if the answer is no, then there should be no fucking question
That
as to
he
whether you're
needs
going
to
to let this
fucking,
motherfucker out.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Ugh.
yeah. Yeah, dude. Fucking John Jamalski.
Ugh.
Yeah, so that's the story of the dungeon in DeWitt that I literally stumbled across. And then it was just one of those things where it's like, you know, the more that I read about the victims and not being listened to by the police, and they're actually going out and reporting after going through these horrific experiences, and like even to have the courage to go to the police after being told that the police were the ones trying to sell you into sex slavery, and you still had the balls to
Yeah.
walk into the police department and say, I was kidnapped by this guy who said he was working with you, and they're like, we don't care.
You're crazy. You're an addict. You're a woman. You're stupid.
We're gonna find whatever random fucking reason we can to
Not
just
believe
dismiss
you.
you because
you're
you're
just
a woman.
you're just a crazy hoe, and that's
Yeah.
how it is, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I know that got a little ragey, but it was necessary.
I mean, I was gonna say it was gonna be ragey on a topic like that, like fucking A.
Yeah.
I can't believe that he didn't think that it was kidnapping.
Just an absolutely delusional psychopath. I really can't. I really, again, it was just like, I don't know what I thought, you know, when someone's like, oh yeah, this person kidnapped people and they live down the street from my elementary school. Like, I don't know what I thought I was going to find that would, but I was so surprised. by
Okay, you
everything
know what
that I
though?
found.
The optimist in me is like, what if? No, there's no good reason for kidnapping. I was going to say, what if this lady kidnapped a drug trafficker because she was trying to free her abused husband? I don't know. I'm trying
So
to
it's
come
like
up with
Taken,
a good reason.
but
yeah.
the reverse?
Yeah, exactly.
The Helen Mirren version of Taken?
Fuck yes, I would watch that.
Oh, God. Anyways, so why did you wonder about Josephine Baker?
Well,
Because we know I stumbled across Jamalski literally in real life.
yeah.
What got you onto Miss Josephine Baker?
Well, you know, full disclosure, I did know what you were going to talk about and that it was going to be depressing. And that we would get ragey. So, I was
Yeah.
like, let's find a happy story to talk about. What's something fun? And I'm like, what's more fun than World War II spies?
Hey.
And then I started looking up spies, and I didn't find any stories I liked. And then that's how I got onto Josephine Baker. And I was like, what? Because I recognized her with her cute little Charleston outfit and stuff like that, like her little flapper outfit.
Yeah.
And I was like, she was a spy? And then
Yeah.
went deep into the Google hole, if you will.
Yeah. We do love going deep into that Google hole, don't we?
Yeah. Her story, though, yeah, it was a really fun one. I'm glad that I chose to do a happy story. You know, often I feel like I'm like, let me look up something weird or creepy or fucked up. So, you know, spending time with a happy story, I think, was probably the best thing for my mental health this week. Not gonna lie.
There you go.
You know. But, yeah, that's how I got to know a little bit more about Miss Josephine, you know.
Awesome.
She was
Well, that's great.
She was the bee's knees. She was the cat's meow. She was, what's another term?
The cat's pajamas?
Ooh, is that a thing?
I thought it was.
Do cats wear pajamas? I don't think Yahtzee does.
Only cool cats.
No, he's definitely not a cool cat. I also forgot to tell you about the other weird thing that happened today. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, what?
I woke up this morning and my front door was open.
Babe. Why?
I just remembered. I don't know. I woke up.
Was it malfunctioning? Does it malfunction?
It was windy, so maybe I didn't, like, push the lock all the way. And so it blew open, possibly. But yeah, I opened the door I opened my bedroom door and walked out. It was really cold, and I was like, why is the heat struggling? And the door is just, like, slightly open, and Yahtzee had just walked out and then walked back in, and he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, what the fuck? It couldn't have been open for that long because he would have been gone.
Yeah.
But still, so My
That's
front
very
door
upsetting.
opened and my garage door closed on its own, although at least now I don't have to remember to close my garage door, so.
Oh, so maybe it's like a timer thing? That's logical. That would make sense. Would we maybe think that?
No, there's no timer.
Maybe the garage door gets like tired of holding itself open and it's like, all right, we're done here.
No, I wish. That would be handy though.
I know, right?
So yeah, I guess we'll find out what fun things my house has in store for me tomorrow.
That's so upsetting. I'm so sorry.
I'm more worried about the nightmares I'm gonna have about being trapped in a airless, damp, concrete.
An airless bunker dungeon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, that is definitely the stuff of nightmares right there.
Ugh.
But we do have better things to look forward to next week.
Yeah.
'Cause next week, our sister subjects will be science and nature.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited too. I have such a good one.
Me too.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay! It's gonna be good.
Awesome. It's going to be so good. Well, good. Yeah, see, we're excited. There's things to look forward to, guys.
There are things on the horizon.
Oh, boy.
Well, alrighty then. Thanks everybody for joining us on this fun and terrible adventure tonight.
It was mostly terrible.
I was gonna say it's equal parts fun and terrible.
Yeah.
As you say that in your sad voice. But we love all of our listeners dearly, fervently.
Ooh.
I was going to say majestically. I don't know why, though, so just ignore that. But if you like us and would love to find out more about us or follow us on social media, you can find us on Instagram at wonderlust.pod.
Mm-hmm. You can also tweet us on Twitter, allegedly, at podwonderlust. We also have an amazing brand new website up.
It's amazing.
thewonderlustpodcast.com.
Yes.
Go check it out. You can contact us there. Hit us up. We're also on Facebook. You can like and follow us there. And we just love and appreciate you all.
And hopefully, if you love and appreciate us, please do not forget to rate and subscribe to us. Those ratings really help us out. And the more we get, the happier we'll be. And the happier we'll be, the better the world will be. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
We're dying on that
Yeah,
one.
it was really terrible. I was really hoping you would save me on there, and you did not.
Nope.
Just let me fail.
Yep. Nope. Rate and subscribe. Leave us a review. We love you anyways.
True.
Whether you do or you don't.
But you'll just make us extra happy if you tell us that you
would
love
just
us
be
too.
really nice. It would be really cool if you did. So yeah.
And if you have any...
I'm trying to think if anything else like weird happened this week.
Nothing as weird as my house doing things by itself?
No, that's upsetting, and I don't like that. I'm not a fan. And you're being very, like, cool and calm and collected about that. I would not be.
What else
If I
am I
woke up and my
supposed to
front
do?
door was open... No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I know. And maybe that's, like, an inward angle I should take and just be like, don't freak out about things. Maybe you are just destined to be kidnapped and killed because you're a lady, and that's what happens.
I just, like, if I think about it too much, I'm just going to say it was a fluke. They were flukes. It's fine. It was
really windy.
It was really windy, and then the garage just was helping me out so that I didn't have to.
The garage was tired.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all fine.
Yeah, obviously. Oh, I went to work the other day.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah, I know. Super weird, guys. Super weird thing that happened. I walked in, all the lights were off. There was nobody there. Which it's like a lot of people, when they go into work, like that's how their day starts, you know? That's never happened here, and this is a new place, and I was really weirded out by it.
Why was it like that?
I don't know. People were just late, I guess. It was snowing that day, so...
Oh, that makes more sense.
Maybe that's why, but, like, yeah, I walked in, and I was very much like, this is uncomfortable. I don't like being here by myself with the lights off and not I legit, like, looked up. I was like, are we open today? Did I somehow misunderstand?
Dude, that's exactly
when
what I would
supposed to
do,
be
though.
here?
No, that's totally what I would do, like, without a doubt.
Like, I very much feel like I should not be here right now.
Oh.
But turns out it was fine, and I had to work. Meh.
Wah.
Yeah, I mean, besides, like, having weird deer and kangaroo dreams.
Ugh. That just is very still upsetting. That is also upsetting to me. You may tell him I find that upsetting.
Just my favorite part was that it was just like, oh, I looked that up. I was
So wrong.
So wrong.
I'm imagining that he was like, their
like, you
faces
don't.
are similar, and Pangea was one continent, so obviously it makes
was
sense.
so much like, duh, you didn't know that? Or that I, like, questioned myself. Ladies, don't fucking question yourselves, alright?
Oh, to have the confidence of a heteronormative white man.
Yeah, no, that's what we should all take into this week, you know, to have the confidence of a fucking Michael Caine in Miss Congeniality.
Yes, that's a mood I need to bring to my life all of the time.
Yeah, what's his name in that movie?
Michael Caine.
Shut up. You're so dumb. Oh my god.
My-
Congeniality.
Two of my biggest joys in life are when I get you to genuinely laugh at something that I'm trying to be funny about.
Victor Melling.
Oh yeah, there we go. And then when I genuinely annoy you. Those are the two reactions that I live for.
You know, those are the two reactions that I live for in you. It's almost like you're the closest thing I have to a twin.
Oh. And on that note,
Winners wear a crown, losers wear a frown. So don't forget to smile. And, right, all our wanderers, this is where we're going to take our leave from you this week.
Wait. Wanderers. No. Oh, God damn it. I ruined it.
I'm like, no.
Hey, Wanderers. This is where we go. Wander off.
You heard it here first, folks. We're gonna wander off right now, but we will see you next week for an awesome episode on science and nature.
Yay!